4 years ago, this past March, my mom and sister both died when a truck, a commercial carrier truck, ran a red light and hit their car and killed them both. In this particular case, it was not a tractor trailer. It was a commercial carrier. It was a large truck used to deliver furniture, and it was being made locally. And they had pulled up. It was in a rural setting right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and they had pulled up to a stoplight. It was a beautiful day. There was flat land all around. The light changed, and they were in a, I don't know, I think my best recollection is there are at least 3 or 4 eyewitnesses as to what happened, but my sister, Ann, started into the intersection. The light had changed. She had come up and stopped and waited for the light to change. When it did, she started into the intersection, and evidently the movement of the truck caught her attention, and she stopped, and he just plowed right into her. Ann her injuries were such that she was pretty much killed on the spot. My mom survived. My mom survived the crash and was coherent, lucid. She was answering questions, and she knew what had happened. And she was 83 years old, and so she pretty much had to sit there and watch my sister die, which has always been a very, very difficult thing for everybody, family, friends, people who knew her. Just, you know, it was a very, very tragic end to a very wonderful life. And what got my attention concerning the company is that we found out later on, and again, this goes back to the safety issues, that the company that the young man was driving for, they had been warned, we found out at least 3 times by the employees at the company, other people who worked who simply said they didn't want to drive or ride with this driver or refused to. And we also found out that the people had been calling in the 800 number on the back of the truck and reporting the man's erratic behavior, and the company chose to ignore all of it. And was one of the things that motivated me to start looking at how companies teach and train their drivers. And we found out that that there is very little in the way of regulations as far as drivers training. Companies can get by with virtually no oversight, and this gets into areas where, you know, where they're testing for drugs, making sure that if there is an accident that the proper procedures are followed. And that's what we found out about this particular carrier, that they had a very cavalier, a very just not a very diligent attitude towards safety. And again, that's what's kind of motivated me to look at the oversight of these companies and saying, and even when I had the company reviewed, or compliance review, there were no actions to speak of that were taken against them, even though they found out that the company did, in fact, well, they would put drivers out on the highway before they got the drug test back. They didn't do the adequate testing of the drivers after an accident, and in fact had been responsible for the death of an individual up in New Jersey, and it was directly related to drugs. And the FMCA knew all of that, and still no actions. I think there was a $3,000 fine, and that was it. But they were given a satisfactory rating, and I just felt that's not acceptable. That's not wise use of our tax dollars, or it's not wise use of the legislature. There could be better protection for the public. Whatever it takes to get these trucking companies to understand this is not acceptable. You cannot allow 5,000 people a year to die on the highways and think that you can just do business as usual. And what we're facing right now is they're saying not only business as usual, but we want to put even heavier trucks out there. We want to make the highways even more unsafe than they already are. And these are our highways. I mean, these are the United States citizens built these highways. They weren't built by the trucking companies alone. So I just feel that what I can walk away from here with is a very clear understanding that I can take back to Atlanta, to other members of Road Safe, and say, look, you know, we can certainly make an attempt down there, but there's a larger group here that you go up to Capitol Hill and you got other people going to bat for you, and for the very same reasons. And I feel very confident that the stuff that we're trying to achieve, it may not happen in 6 months, but 6 years, but it will be changed. And that, to me, that's a very, very good feeling, to know that you can take something that tragic and that devastating and use it for such a good purpose. Because well, the nice part about it is that there will be people who never even know what we do that'll live a normal life because of what we do. So that in and of itself is a pretty good feeling. That's a nice consolation.